Hey guys, what's up? Abby here from Safari Pedals. I am so excited today to be in the studio with Mr. Joe Chiccarelli.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you so much for having us through.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it. Before we dive in a little bit, let's start with who you are, what you do, and we'll take it from there.
Okay. I'm Joe Chiccarelli. I'm a producer and mixer and engineer, and I've been doing it for a while now. And we're here at my studio at East West in Hollywood.
I'd love to first dive in. You and us at Safari, we have a plug-in together, the Dirty Dog. It's been out for a little over a year now,
Wow.
if I'm not mistaken. How has the feedback been seeing it used in the real world?
It's actually been really, really fun. I bump into people all the time. In fact, just last night at your party, I bumped into somebody who said, "Oh man, I use your plugin all the time." And it's actually really, really great to hear that, because I did it as something that I do in working. I'm always looking for new textures, new reverbs, and years ago I got the idea of kind of overdriving a reverb to get some unusual and more aggressive sounds for guitar solos and sax solos, and just to add power to things in an unusual way. And when we first came up with it, I thought, oh, okay, this is something that's not your typical plugin and that some people might like. But to hear the amount of people that have come to me and said, I love this, I use it all the time, I use it for drums, I use it for vocals, that's really great, because it's a lot of uses that I wouldn't normally use for it.
That's awesome. And I'd love to go a little bit back. How did you get into discovering overdriving reverbs, and when you and Noam were working on the plugin itself, how did that translate into having certain parameters and things that were important to you?
Good question. Yes. I think probably the way I got into it years ago was just probably by accident, because when you would overdrive a digital reverb, or even before that, when you'd overdrive an EMT plate, they had a certain sound. They got aggressive and tough and powerful, and reverb is always in the background of the record, so all of a sudden there's this kind of monster in the back of your mix, and it really became this powerful texture to use. So I started deliberately trying to find uses for it, and then as plugins came about, it made the whole process easier, because you would maybe put a guitar distortion pedal, you'd put a rat pedal on your reverb send, to really get something crazy. But once you had plugins, you can try so many different options. So we worked really hard to find the right distortion to put before the reverb and after the reverb. And very important to me was the ability to filter it, because as you know, when you use distortion, it can get kind of messy and overtake things. So you want to contain it in a way that's just relevant to the frequencies of that particular instrument that you put into it. So having filter control was really important to me.
Having the Dirty Dog out, are there any specific use cases, things that you like to use it on in particular?
Yeah, probably my favorite is guitar solos, certain lead vocals. I like really short reverbs, like certain rock vocals. I like a real short reverb with a little bit of pre-delay, but clamped down, not too bright, but distorted on the way in, and it just makes the vocal even more alive and more aggressive.
In the pedal itself, there's the distortion before and distortion after. Were there certain units or textures that you wanted to model from either real pieces or things you had used in the past?
I think we went and tried a few different things, other plugins. I know I had even guitar pedals in mind, because I think years ago when I first started doing this, I did it with guitar pedals being sent to the reverb. So I think we kind of modeled a few different things and kind of came up with the right combination.
Sweet. I always love to ask our amazing guests to either drop, it can be a piece of advice or anything you'd want to say to producers and engineers that are at the beginning of their journey.
Let's see. I think the one thing that for me has been super helpful, we all have styles of music that we love and gravitate towards and sort of live in those worlds. But I really think it's important to be a part of a lot of different styles of music, because I think you really learn a lot of different approaches. You also learn what the important values are for each type of music. In other words, like country music, the story is the more important thing, where rock music, the aggression and the power is the most important thing. And certain styles of jazz, the knowing what melodic instrument really has to take the lead and where the harmonies fall into play. Experiencing that in lots of different styles of music, even ethnic folk music from different countries, I think you learn a lot. So I would say if you're somebody that just loves pop music or hip hop or whatever, really get out there and try to experience other styles of music. Because I think what you do is you start to bring those values and those things that are important into what you do, and it makes you take a more unique approach to the way you go about crafting your own music.
I love that. I love that approach. And like from the beginning of your career, like did you start with that mindset of like trying to soak in all the different scenes, or was that kind of something gradual for you?
Yeah, sorry for laughing, because I think the way it sort of came about was that, you know, when you're getting started, you take any gig that comes your way. You got to pay the bills, and you know, you want to further your career. So anything that comes up, and sometimes you get a little sort of snobby about things, and you go, I don't really want to do that, but I got to do that. So I started to just flip it and say, okay, what can I gain from this experience? And then after a while doing different styles of music, I was kind of like, wow, every type of music, whether it's, you know, a rock band or some Iranian folk quartet, things, the balances have to be different, the way you treat the important elements, what's important for the listener is always a little different. And I think when you start to respect that and learn that, you have different takes on the music, and you kind of get inside it in a very different way. And I think having that knowledge and that sort of worldly experience, when you come to do your own music, something that you're very comfortable in, you start to maybe dip into these other things that you've learned, and you now have different ways to go about making your music and making it more unique.
I'm going to have to also check out, I love that, check out an Iranian folk quartet after this
no,
chat.
Absolutely. There's so much great music out in the world, and you know, I'm fortunate I travel a lot for projects, and you go to a different country and you experience their music, and it's a wonderful thing.
That's awesome. I feel very inspired to do some digging.
Okay.
So I'm really looking forward, and I appreciate you again having us through and like dropping wisdom and gems.
Oh, you're kind.
Sweet. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.